We are now ready to begin our serious study of the Early Shia Doctrines. Today we start Chapter 2, the pre-existence of the Imam. And we start with one of the most cosmologically significant sections in this remarkable work by Amir Muizzi. In our previous 11 episodes that covered the entire Chapter 1, we laid the groundwork for the book's core material. Let's do a very quick recap. We explored the fundamental concept of the Imam as the divine guide, the one who possesses ilm, and the one who serves as the intermediary between humanity and the divine truth. We discussed how the Imam's knowledge is not acquired through ordinary means, but is supernaturally inherited from the Prophet through a divine chain of transmission. We clarified the 4 dimensions of Aql, revealing it to be a spiritual faculty for apprehending divine realities, rather than just mere logical reasoning. Finally, we surveyed the essential hadith collections that preserve the esoteric and mystical teachings on the Imamat. Now in Chapter 2, Amir Muizzi takes us even deeper, beyond the historical manifestation of the Imams in this world, to their pre-existence, before creation itself. And this is where we encounter one of the most beautiful and metaphysically rich aspects of classical Shia theology, the doctrine of the 14 Impeccables, and their existence as a primordial divine light, a light that existed thousands of years before Adam, before the earth, and before the heavens themselves. So let's begin our journey into the pre-eternal realm, to that moment before time when Allah created light from His own light. Amir Muizzi begins this section by reminding us of what he calls basic facts covered in almost all studies of Imamism. But I want to pause here because what might seem basic actually contains profound theological depth. The 14 Impeccables, in Arabic the Masoom, literally those who are protected or infallible, consist of the Prophet Muhammad, his daughter Fatima, and the 12 Imams, peace be upon them all. Sometimes they are also called the 14 proofs, the Hujjah, because they serve as Allah's proof to humanity, His evidence, His argument for the truth of Islam. Now here's what's crucial to understand. These 14 individuals don't simply form a historical dynasty or a family lineage in the ordinary sense. According to classical Shia doctrine, they form what Amir Muizzi calls a whole, a unified, integrated reality that together manifests divine truth to humanity. We are not discussing 14 separate, unrelated individuals who happen to be connected by blood. We are referring to a cosmic unity, a single integrated manifestation of the divine truth that appears in 14 distinct forms across history. And this manifestation occurs in 2 different dimensions. And this is absolutely central to understanding Shia theology. According to classical Shia doctrine, every aspect of religion, and indeed reality itself, possesses 2 inseparable faces, the exoteric and the esoteric. There is the exoteric dimension, the Zahir, which is the obvious, apparent, outer aspect of religion, accessible to the masses, to the Amma. This is the dimension of law, of rituals, and of the Quranic text as it was directly revealed, what's called Tanzil in Arabic, meaning descent or revelation. This outer exoteric dimension is primarily associated with prophecy, nubuwa. And Prophet Muhammad is both the prototype and the culmination of this prophetic function. The Prophet revealed these exoteric teachings to all believers. The ritual prayers, the fasting, the pilgrimage, the legal rulings. These form the outer structure of the faith, available to every Muslim who utters the Shahada. But enveloped within this exoteric dimension, hidden inside it, is the esoteric dimension, the Batin. This is the secret, hidden, inner aspect of religion. The dimension of spiritual interpretation and of unveiling the deeper meanings and the hidden realities of the Kitab Allah, the Book of Allah. This process is called ta'wil in Arabic, meaning to return something to its origin, meaning tracing the outer covering to its inner source. While the Prophet Muhammad possessed the fullness of both the Zahir and the Batin, he transmitted his esoteric knowledge exclusively to the Imams, beginning with Imam Ali. The Imams thus gain all their knowledge from the Prophet. They are not independent sources of knowledge, but rather the authorized inheritors and transmitters of the Prophet's esoteric teachings. This esoteric dimension is thus primarily associated with the Imamat, Wilayah. And the 12 Imams are the manifestation of this function, addressing the spiritual elite, the Khassa. The distinction between Zahir and Batin is not unique to Shiaism. But what makes Shiaism distinctive is the way it institutionalizes this distinction in the persons of the Prophet and the Imams. They form a complete whole. The Prophet brings the book, Tanzil, and the Imams bring the true interpretation of the book, ta'wil. The Prophet addresses the masses, the Amma. The Imams address the spiritual elite, the Khasa. Together, they embody the totality of divine truth. To understand this even more clearly, let me offer you a powerful metaphor using the example of the Quran. Think of the Quran as a vast, limitless ocean. Most Muslims, those outside the Shia tradition, stand on the shore of this ocean. They see the surface of the water. Perhaps they wade in the shallows, they feel the spray on their faces, and suddenly what they see has value and beauty. The surface of an ocean is magnificent to behold. But they remain on the surface. They don't know what lies beneath. The true Shia, however, those who have entered into the Wilayah of the Imams, are equipped to dive deep into this ocean. Through the teachings and interpretations of the Imams, they descend beneath the surface and discover an entirely different world, a world of luminous pearls, coral gardens, teeming life, and breathtaking beauty that those on the surface cannot even imagine exists. The Quran that Muslims read today and possess is only the outer exoteric part. It's the surface of the ocean, the peel of the fruit. And while that surface, that peel, is itself divine and miraculous, it's not the complete reality. Muslims without access to the esoteric teachings of the Imams are missing the inner realities, the depths, the batin. They are like someone admiring the outer peel of a magnificent fruit. Perhaps they appreciate its color, its texture, its fragrance, but they never taste the flesh inside, never reach the nourishing core. They possess the letter but not the spirit, the form but not the meaning, the sign but not the reality that it points towards. Shias, through the tafsir and the ta'wil of the Imams, can open that fruit. They can peel away the outer layer and access the inner layers, each one sweeter and more nourishing than the last, until they reach the core, the heart of the matter, the essence of divine truth. Now, this might sound elitist, and in a sense, it is. But it's an elitism based not on birth or wealth or worldly power, but on spiritual loyalty and recognition of divine appointment. Without Wilayah, without entering into that special relationship with the Imams, without recognizing their divinely appointed authority, you are confined to seeing only the exterior side of religion. You are, through your own choice, deprived of the interior beauty, the batin. Think about it. Most non-Shia Muslims have absolutely no idea of this reality of religion. They don't know what they're missing because they've never been told that there is something deeper to find. They are satisfied with the surface because they don't know an ocean lies beneath. They're content with the peel because no one has told them about the fruit inside. This is the profound tragedy, but also the profound privilege of the Shia position. And this brings us to what I find to be one of the most beautiful aspects of this entire system. Its divinely ordained structure of concealment and revelation, of hiding and unveiling. This system created by Allah is exquisite in its justice and mercy. The khasa, the elite, the special ones, the few who are loyal and recognize the Imam's authority are given access to the inner dimensions. The Amma, the general public, the masses, remain with the outer dimensions. But notice, this isn't arbitrary. It's not that Allah whimsically favors some and abandons others. Rather, access to the esoteric is contingent upon Wilayah, upon recognizing and submitting to the divinely appointed guides. Those who deny the Wilayah of the Imams, who refuse to acknowledge their special status and authority, deprive themselves of access to the inner realities. The door is there, the treasures are there, but you need the right key, and that key is Wilayah. And now we come to the role of Lady Fatima, peace be upon her, and this is where the theology becomes even more beautiful and intricate. Fatima is called Majma al-Nurain, the confluence of the two lights. What does this mean? Fatima represents the point of intersection, the meeting place, the junction, where the light of prophecy and the light of the Imamat come together. She is the daughter of Muhammad, the bearer of prophecy, and she is the wife of Ali and the mother of Hassan and Hussein. Peace be upon them all. Through her, the prophetic light passes into the Imamic line. She is, if you will, the bridge, the passage, the sacred channel through which the two dimensions of divine truth flow into one another. This is why Fatima holds such an exalted position in Shia theology. She is not simply honored as the Prophet's beloved daughter, though she certainly is that. She is honored because she occupies a unique metaphysical position in the cosmic structure of guidance. She is the point where Zahir and Batin meet, where prophecy and Imamat unite, where the two lights merge. Now, Amir Moisi makes an important clarification here that we need to understand. He notes that the Prophet as Nabi also possesses knowledge of the esoteric dimension. Muhammad is not only a prophet, but also a wali, a friend of Allah, a possessor of Wilayah. And as we mentioned earlier, he reserves his esoteric teaching exclusively for his Imam or Imams. He doesn't broadcast the Batin to everyone. It's transmitted in a restricted initiatic chain. On the other hand, the Imam is never considered a Nabi, a prophet. Why? Because prophecy in the technical sense involves bringing a new sacred law, a new revealed book. The cycle of prophecy ended with Muhammad, who is the seal of the prophets. But the cycle of Wilayah, of the Imamat, continues. The Imams don't bring new law. They bring the true interpretation of the law that Muhammad brought. This distinction is vital because in the Imamite texts, the terminology can sometimes be fluid. Terms like Wali, Hujjah, Ulul Amr, those who possess authority, are generally reserved for the Imams. But sometimes they're also applied to the prophets. And this can be confusing if you don't understand the underlying structure. Now we come to what I consider one of the most mystically profound passages in all of Shia literature. Amir Moisi writes, the event took place a few thousand years before the creation of the world. Let that sink in for a moment. We're talking about something that happened before the world existed, before time as we know it, before space, before matter, in what Amir Moisi calls an immaterial place called al-Kitab, the mother of the book. What is this mother of the book? It's the archetypal realm, which is the realm of divine patterns or fundamental forms. An archetype is an original pattern or model from which all things of the same kind are copied or generated. This realm is the primordial tablet where all realities exist in their pure, uncreated form before they manifest in the created world. This is the realm of divine knowledge before it descends into creation. And in this realm, in this pre-eternal moment, something extraordinary happened. From His own light, Allah made a luminous ray spring forth, and from this first ray, He made a second ray proceed. The first ray was the light of Muhammad, the light of prophecy. The second ray of identical nature but subordinate to the first was the light of Ali, the light of the Imamat. Listen to this beautiful tradition that Amir Moisi quotes. 2000 years before creation, Muhammad and Ali were one light before Allah. Light formed from one main trunk, from which sprang a shining ray. And Allah said, "Here is a light drawn from my light. Its trunk is prophecy, and its branch is the Imamat. Prophecy belongs to Muhammad, my servant and messenger, and the Imamat belongs to Ali, my proof and my friend. Without them, I would have created none of my creation." This is an astonishing statement. It means that the entire purpose of creation, the entire reason for the existence of the universe, is bound up with Muhammad and Ali, with prophecy and Imamat. They are not accidental features of creation. They are the very reason for creation. And notice the metaphor. Prophecy is the trunk. The Imamat is the branch. They're not two separate trees. They are one tree, one organic unity, with the branch proceeding from the trunk, dependent on it, yet essential to the tree's completeness. This is why, as Amir Moisi notes, Ali always said, "I proceed from Muhammad," or from Ahmad, as one clarity proceeds from another. Ali's light derives from Muhammad's light, just as the second ray derives from the first ray, just as the branch proceeds from the trunk. Now the traditions go even deeper into this mystical theology. They tell us that the very names of Muhammad and Ali are derived from the names of Allah Himself. In one prophetic tradition, Muhammad states, "In me, Allah placed prophecy and benediction, and in Ali He placed the Imamat and a chivalrous spirit. Then He gave us names, having our names derived from His name. From His name, the praised Lord of the throne, Zul Arsh Mahmud, He formed my name, Muhammad. And from His name, the Supreme Al-Ala, He formed the name of Ali." This is profound theology. In Islamic tradition, the names of Allah are not arbitrary labels. They represent divine attributes, divine qualities, aspects of the divine reality itself. When Allah is called Ar-Rahman, the Merciful, this isn't just a name. It refers to the divine attribute of mercy that is intrinsic to Allah's being. So when we're told that Muhammad's name derives from Allah's name Al-Mahmud, the praised one, and that Ali's name derives from Allah's name Al-Ali, Al-Ala, we're being told something about the ontological status of these figures. Their very names connect them to the divine reality in a way that transcends ordinary human naming. Now the traditions don't stop with just Muhammad and Ali. Some traditions expand the primordial light to include what's called the Ahl al-Kisa, the five of the cloak, or people of the cloak: Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein, peace be upon them all. This refers to a famous event in the Prophet's life when he gathered these five individuals under his cloak and declared them to be his Ahlul Bayt, his household. In Shia tradition, this event has cosmic significance because it identifies the core family unit that carries the divine light. Other traditions expand it even further to include all 14 Impeccables, the Prophet, his daughter Fatima, and all 12 Imams. In this broader vision, the light of Wilayah is represented by all the Imams collectively, with Fatima's light placed at the junction, the meeting point of the two lights of prophecy and Imamat. And just as Muhammad's and Ali's names derive from Allah's names, so too do the names of all five of the cloak. Listen to this tradition. When Adam was brought to life by the breath of Allah, he lifted his eyes towards the divine throne, Al-Arsh, and saw five inscriptions. Asking Allah about them, he received this reply. First, there is Muhammad, for I am Al-Mahmud, the praised one. Second, there is Ali, for I am Al-Ali, the Most High. Third, there is Fatima, for I am Al-Fatir, the Creator. Fourth, there is Hassan, for I am Al-Muhsin, the Benefactor. And fifth, there is Hussein, for I am Dhul Ihsan, the Lord of kindness. This means that the very identity, the very essence of these figures is bound up with divine names and attributes. Amir Muizi brings in a tafsir from Imam Jafar regarding verse 37 in Surah Al-Baqarah, which says, and Adam received words, kalimat, from his Lord. What were these words? The Quran doesn't specify, but according to Imam Jafar's tafsir, these weren't ordinary words. They were the 5 sacred names. Imam Jafar said, Allah was, and nothing of his creation existed. Then he created 5 creatures from the light of his glory, and he assigned to each of them a name derived from his own names. Being the praised one, he called his prophet Muhammad. Being the most high, he called the prince of believers Ali. Being the creator of the heavens and the earth, he created the name of Fatima. Possessing the most beautiful names, Al-Asma al-Husna, he forged the names of Hassan and Hussein. Then he placed these names to the right side of his throne. The place of honor, the place of proximity to Allah, the place of exaltation. These were the 5 names that Adam received from his Lord. So according to this tafsir by the Imam, when the Quran says Adam received words from Allah, what he actually received was knowledge of these 5 sacred names, these 5 lights, these 5 primordial realities that existed before creation and that represent the purpose of creation. This is ta'wil, spiritual interpretation. This is the esoteric understanding of the Quranic text that goes beyond the literal meaning to uncover the deeper hidden significance. And this is precisely what the Imams provide. Not a replacement of the literal meaning, but an unveiling of the deeper dimensions that the literal meaning contains and conceals simultaneously. Let's step back and consider the broader cosmological picture that emerges from these traditions. What we're seeing is a vision of reality that has multiple levels or dimensions. At the highest level, there is Allah, the absolute, the infinite, the source of all existence. Allah is beyond all description, beyond all limitation, beyond all comparison. But from Allah's own light, from the light of His glory, proceeds a primordial light. This light is the first creation, the first emanation from the divine. And this light has 2 aspects, the light of Muhammad and the light of Ali, or more broadly, the light of prophecy and the light of the Imamate. This primordial light exists in the realm of Kitab, the mother of the book, the archetypal realm, before the creation of the material world. It exists for thousands of years. The traditions say 2,000 years, though we should understand this as symbolic rather than literal chronology. Before Allah creates Adam, before He creates the heavens and the earth. Then when Allah does create the material world, when He creates Adam, one of the first things Adam sees is the inscription of the 5 sacred names on the divine throne. These names represent the primordial light in its 5-fold manifestation. Later, in historical time, these primordial lights take on physical form. Muhammad is born in Mecca in the 6th century CE. Ali is born shortly thereafter. Fatima is born. The Imams are born one after another across the generations. But their earthly births are not their true beginning. Their true beginning is in that pre-eternal moment when Allah created their light from His light. This means that when we encounter the Prophet or the Imams in history, we're not simply encountering remarkable human beings. We are encountering the historical manifestation of pre-existent, luminous realities that have their origin in the divine light itself. The theological implications of this doctrine are profound and far-reaching. Let me highlight a few. First, this doctrine establishes the absolute centrality of the Prophet and the Imams to the entire cosmic order. They're not accidental or contingent features of creation. They are the reason for creation. As the tradition states, without them I would have created none of my creation. This means that the entire universe exists for their sake, or more precisely, for the sake of the guidance they provide. Second, this doctrine establishes the essential unity of prophecy and the Imamate. They are not 2 separate, unrelated institutions. They are 2 aspects of one light, one reality. Prophecy is the trunk, the Imamate is the branch. They form one organic whole. You cannot have one without the other. Third, this doctrine establishes the ontological superiority of the Prophet and the Imams over ordinary human beings. When I say this is ontological, it means it concerns their very being, their very nature. They are created from divine light. Their names derive from divine names. They exist before creation. They are, in a profound sense, very different in kind from ordinary humanity. Fourth, this doctrine provides the foundation for the Shia understanding of isma, infallibility, or impeccability. If the Prophet and the Imams are created from divine light, if they exist before creation as pure luminous beings, if their very names are derived from Allah's names, then it makes sense that they would be protected from error and sin. Their infallibility is not simply a legal or moral status granted to them. It flows from their very nature, from their ontological status as beings of light. Fifth, this doctrine explains the Shia insistence on the necessity of the Imam. If the Imam represents the esoteric dimension of divine truth, if he is the bearer of the Tawil, the true interpretation of the sacred book, if his light has existed from before creation for the purpose of guiding humanity, then his presence is not optional. It's not a matter of political preference or historical accident. It's a cosmic necessity. Without the Imam, humanity would be lost in the exoteric dimension, unable to access the deeper salvific knowledge that the esoteric dimension contains. Let me bring this episode to a close by reflecting on the profound significance of what we've covered. What Amir Moizi is showing us in this chapter is that early Shiaism possessed a rich, sophisticated, cosmologically expansive theology, centered on the figure of the Imam as a pre-existent being of light. This was the teaching of the Imams themselves, preserved in the classical Hadith literature, representing the esoteric heart of Shia Islam. In our next episode, we will continue with Chapter 2, exploring further dimensions of the Imam's pre-existence and the traditions about the cosmic covenant, the mithaq, that occurred in the pre-eternal realm. We will see how this pre-existence doctrine connects to the Imam's role as the guide of souls, both in this world and in the worlds beyond. Until then, I encourage you to contemplate on these traditions, to let their mystical beauty and theological depth sink in. This is the theology the Imams taught and the heritage we are called to preserve and transmit. Thank you for listening, and peace be upon Muhammad and his pure progeny.